Hi there. Is nostalgia and resentment holding your organization back? The reason why I asked this question is that recently I brought down all my records from the loft that had been up there for over 20 years, bought a record player and decided to listen to them. And I've been really enjoying the process of going back in time and revisiting my friends, in my mind, of course, where we were, what we were doing, and where we were going. And it's been a really enjoyable process. And what I've really enjoyed about it is those familiar tracks, listening to them again. But also what surprised me was that I was listening to those familiar tracks with new ears. I was hearing things that I hadn't heard before. And that was really quite insightful for me, because I also started to think about, well, I'd like to buy more records and from this artist and build on my record collection. Because for me, my record collection is my identity. It's what shaped me. It's who I am. And it's what brought me here today, I guess. But it's also helping to shape me for the future. And I think nostalgia is an interesting topic, because we tend to do it if things are not going very well, or we become a certain age. We just need to seek some comfort to the good old days. And our brain, of course, is very clever. It selects our memories for us, depending on what our needs are. But then it got me thinking about organizations and the memory that exists within an organization, and whether nostalgia could be a helpful approach to helping us grow as companies. Now, the challenge with nostalgia is that if things are not going well, and we go back in time and we reminisce the good days, it could actually be preventing us as an organization from moving forward. And I'll give you an example of that. I was asked to set up a change management center of excellence for a company I work for a global operations team. And we did that for about 2.5 to 3 years, myself and a colleague. And it worked really well. We got some good traction, we got some good feedback, and we were really starting to making an impact. And then all of a sudden, our manager said to us, right, we've had a reorganization and a restructure, and you're not going to be doing the Change Management Center of Excellence anymore. You're going to be doing another project. You're going to be working on in another group. So what we'd like you to do is pack up all your content, put it into a presentation and share it with another manager in the organization, and he'll decide what he would like to use and what he wouldn't like to use. And my reaction was, when I sort of went, oh, okay. So you mean like a yard sale? And I could feel this very strong resentment and this very strong emotion coming over me. And I kind of regretted having such a bad attitude, but it's how I felt. I felt that the work that we had done hadn't been appreciated. I felt that the time and the effort and the creativity that would put into it hadn't been recognized. And it was as though we were just being moved around, you know, as a sort of a cog in a wheel. So anyway, we put everything together. We turned up at the meeting in not a very good mood, I have to say. And our manager did the introduction. And after which the other manager said, well, just before, and actually what he said just blew me away. He said, just before we get into the detail, he said, I'd just like to say thank you very much for all that you've done over the last 2.5 to 3 years, because you've added huge value and you've made a great impact, and you've been very supportive of me and my team. And I just wanted to say thank you, but also to let you know that you've left a legacy. And at that moment, all my bad attitude and all my resentment just lifted. And for me, I was then able to just let it go, knowing that it's been appreciated, and look forward to this new role and look forward to being creative again and starting new things and pioneering maybe something great again. And I think there's something here that in organizations we might be missing out on, that we may be leaving a lot behind, and we're not appreciating what's been done in the past. Because when we look back at something, we may not see what's there that could be leveraged today and what could be taken forward into the future. And I think this is an opportunity to try and address some of the resentment that employees might be thinking when they have been moved from one project to the next. Because the way I felt was that, okay, next time I do a big project, you're probably only going to get 50, 60% of my effort in the next one. Because I thought, well, why should I put so much time and effort into something that people don't really appreciate or acknowledge? So I think there's some value here in helping people transition and let go of some of that resentment that might be existing in your organization by going back to the past, looking at what was done, celebrating it, acknowledging it, and deciding together what gets left behind because it's of no longer value, but valuing it nevertheless, that was set for purpose then, but it's not required now. But also looking at what was done and exploring and discussing, well, what could we leverage and what lessons learned could we gather and bring forward with us to today? And how can we leverage that insight and that wisdom in order to help us move forward into the future? And that's why I made that connection between listening to the old records, because it wasn't just about going back in time for me. It was about listening with new ears and imagining what I could be doing with all this great new resource for me and how I want to build my record collection in the future. So nostalgia helps us remind ourselves of who we were, and it helps us to remind ourselves and be clear about who we've become, but also help us move forward in a new way and start to shape how we want to, or how I want to live the rest of my life and what's going to be important for me. And I think that's the same for organizations. So I just wanted to share that bit of insight with you, and I welcome your thoughts and your comments about what that might mean for you. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to your comments.